Hey guys, welcome to the Nova and Boba podcast, where we spill the tea on being a founder. And there's no one more of a founder than Maverick. He is, in the short space of time I know him, has done like everything under the sun. Joined multiple startups, had a brief stint in America, come back. Yeah, he is really, really, really funny. So when did your love of entrepreneurship begin? Because you clearly love this grind.
I love the game. I do love the game. I love the game. I think it probably started genuinely like when I was incredibly young. So I always joke that I'm a third generation gambler. And what I mean by that is my granddad used to own a betting shop. So he used to like sell, for example, if you wanted to bet on a horse, this horse is 3-1, this horse is 2-1, whatever. And my dad is now in his, I think he's 56-ish, 56, 57. I just lowered our share price. Yeah. But he's in his mid-50s and he has for the past 40 years had a gambling addiction. And so like very often he would go, even nowadays he is a pharmacist and goes 9 to 5 in the pharmacy and then 5 till midnight goes and gambles. And like, I mean, it's not deep, like we joke about it in the family, but
Really?
Yeah, we take the mic. But but no, the reality is like, I suppose when you probably grow up, ever since I was like 12, I was always like, what's he doing? Like, why is he wasting his money like on things that he can't control? And so for me, it was all about, okay, well, I have to bet on every single thing that I can control. So that's something that I had like quite deeply thought about from a very young age. Like, what can I control? I started like watching loads of YouTube about startups, and obviously YC is like the big thing. When you like type in startups, YC probably comes up as the first thing. And so I was like, okay, I know what I need to do. I need to cold email all the YC startups in London and ask them for a job. And I did that. And then this one, Chula, was like, hey, like come in for a couple of days trial. I went in.
You just cold DM'd him?
Cold emailed. I cold emailed literally every single YC startup in London. And one got back to me, and that was Chula. And they were like, yeah, we're on the rocket ship trajectory, this whole shebang, we're hiring loads, yada, yada, yada.
The rocket ship.
2 months later, like pretty much everyone on the sales team was gone. Everyone in the 6 months tenure was gone. And was like pretty chaotic. Even though they were telling us like internally, yeah, this is going to be the best company ever. We're like going to be the fastest company to 100 million ARR, whatever, the whole rhetoric, the whole shebang. Obviously didn't happen. Loads of people got laid off. I'm like still like friends with the founders actually. I don't burn bridges, especially where like you shouldn't. Or in some cases you can, and maybe I'll tell you about when I have in a bit. Yeah, this is like a week before we met, and I was like, okay, well, like I actually feel like quite confident in selling now, and I'd been like, doing quite a bit of content for them as well. And even though it had only been a short period of time, I was like, I felt quite confident. I went for dinner at Honest Burger, like 2 days, December 2nd got laid off. December 4th, December 4th, 2024, go for dinner with one of my old friends who I now like, he's in the bit, like discarded to the graveyard. Old best friend from uni. And we go to an Honest Burger, and I'm like very like optimistic. I'm like, obviously, it's 48 hours after I've been laid off. I've just moved to London, like by myself. I'm also not rich, like personally. I'm not wealthy as a guy. And I'm like, I don't know what, like, I don't know what I'm going to do. But I'm like, yeah, I'm going to start a sales and marketing agency. I'm going to make it happen. I'm trying to put on a brave face here.
Yeah, I remember you told me about that idea, yeah.
And he's like, no, don't do it. Terrible idea. Like, you don't know what to do, like you don't know how to start a company. And I'm like, who are you to like tell me what to do and what not to do? And it just like, I think also when you like go, particularly like in Cambridge, for example, there's like a hierarchy as to like who's smart and who's not smart. And I wasn't that academically like good at Cambridge. And he was like one of the top firsts. And you probably, I wasn't like stereotypically like smart, let's say. And so anyway, I was like, right, done. And I was like, I'm focused now. This guy's, and actually this comes on to like motivation as well. It's like, I'm like so glad he pissed me off. I'm so glad he annoyed me, because like every time I'm like,
You can't do something.
I'm like, watch me. I'm like, watch me.
Mhm.
Anyway, December, get no clients.
Mhm.
January, start of January, get no clients. By the end of January, I've got a client. February, got 3 clients.
Whoa!
It's actually going okay.
How are you
And
getting these clients, by the way?
a lot of cold email, a lot of LinkedIn DM.
Mm.
I'm actually getting clients, and we're moving faster, and I'm making LinkedIn content
Yeah.
to go faster. And in March, I make a LinkedIn video, March 2025, like a 10-minute video of me vibe coding on Lovable.
Yes.
Chaz, the founder of Model ML, who is the GOAT, he has changed my life. He messages me off the back of one of these videos that I post. Hey, like, we're hiring right now. We just raised like a $20 million round. And this guy it's his third YC company, and he sold his previous 2 for a good amount of money.
Nice.
A good amount of money. And so I'm like,
And he's back again.
And he's back again, and now he's just raised over 100 million for Model ML, which is where I was at. And he's crushing it. And I owe everything to him. And so I had these 3 clients, and he's like, hey, like, I want you to join. I've seen your content. Like, I think it's, I think it's cool. And I think you can be impactful here. And I dropped my 3 clients, and I started working for Chaz the next day. And that changed my life. Chaz is just, machine in terms of like, he'll text you at, Sunday 7 a.m., Friday 10 p.m. Like, he doesn't care what day or time it is. He'll be like, hey, like, we got to focus on this. And he's just like relentless machine. Like, he deserves all the success and more. And I worked there for 6 months, and I was the youngest person on the team. So I was 24. And because it's selling AI for investment banks and private equity firms, a lot of the team are like probably like 10-ish years older than me, plus minus. Former like Goldman, JP Morgan bankers, which is awesome. And you learn so much just by osmosis in those environments. But I did feel as though I was never going to be able to become, like, for example, C-suite or a director in that place because I didn't have that finance experience. And so
yeah.
What that meant was that even though I was learning so much and like loved working there, there's only so far that I could go because I didn't, quote unquote, speak the language of finance. And so I got this DM from a company in SF called Pump, which was like, hey, we're building a team in Europe. We're looking for a head of Europe. You'll come to SF for 3 months, and then you'll be the head of Europe for our company. And I saw that as move to SF for 90 days. If I love the company and I'm earning bank, great, we stay. If I don't, 90 days in SF. It's the worst that could happen. Plus, like, SF salaries are bigger than London salaries. I said, yeah, let's do it. So I took it. I get there, shoes off. Your average age was like 21. Everyone's like making memes the whole time. And I'm like, what have I? And I bear in mind, I've gone somewhere where like 10 a.m. meeting is 10 a.m. meeting. You dress properly, like standards are super high. Everyone's 10 years out of banking or private equity or consulting.
With that vibe, yeah.
Here is like, oh yeah, we just dropped out of Berkeley, we wear sandals. And it's like, yeah, you're probably smart, but you don't have like the standards or the know-how to actually build a generational company just
yet. What do you mean by standards?
By standards, I mean, I wrote a long list when I resigned 6 weeks after joining, but it included things like, people missing meetings or turning up to meetings like 8 minutes late. Like for me, 10 a.m. is 10 a.m. If you turn up at 10:08, like, get out the door. It's like how, writing emails punctually to clients or like responding to clients like
in a timely manner, yeah.
In a timely manner. So I left after 6 weeks. I had an ESTA, so I could stay for 90 days. And I started just hacking on a bunch of things with a bunch of different people in like SF hacker houses. And candidly, like, nothing came to fruition. And I didn't have much money in the bank, like not much at all. But I said to myself, like, this is it. It's now or never. Like, it's never been easier to code. With like Claude Code, like, I'm not like, I didn't study like CS, but I can use, Claude Code and all, a bunch of other tools and I can build things that people will pay for. And so I decided, instead of like getting another job or like doing whatever, I'm like, this is the best time ever. I'm gonna go to Vietnam. I have a small amount of money, but I'm gonna go. I booked a one-way ticket to Vietnam, and I started hacking. And while I was in Vietnam, or actually just the week before I flew to Vietnam, I saw a tweet from on our investor called Gus at Boost VC, and he was like, "I want to fund founders before the end of the year." So I emailed him off the back of that tweet. I didn't respond to the tweet because my Twitter account has like 30 followers, and I'm like, I'm not gonna tweet him because he's gonna be like, this guy's a bot. He has 30 followers. So I emailed him, and I emailed the link to my LinkedIn, which has like 8 or 9K, which is it's not like loads, but it's like more than 30 followers, and he's like, yeah, sure, let's chat next week. So I was in Vietnam. And we had this call, and it was 3:55 a.m. in Vietnam. I remember looking at my phone at like 3:51 when I got out of bed, and I'm like, I looked probably like death, and I was like, what am I doing? December the 4th, 2025. Remember what happened the year before, December 4th, 2024. Honest Burgers. Think of honesty. Think of staying true to yourself. December 4th, 2025, exactly 1 year later, Gus says to me, this is really cool, what you've built, which is Maverick Intelligence, and we'll come on to it in a bit. And we like to invest. And yeah,
How was it?
that was 4 months ago, and we're now live with multiple customers, and product's getting better day by day. So I realized that's a long story, but hopefully that's helpful.
That is helpful for context. And I even want to go back to, sometimes being an entrepreneur and other things, you'll have people who sometimes they don't think they're hurting you, but because their mind is so limited in what they think is possible, they'll tell others that, hey, you can't do it. It's just what type of a friend tells someone, don't go for something.
Yeah, I mean, it's really funny because I think it's, how do I respond to that? Yeah, agree. And I think when you get told, like, you can't do something so much, you either believe it or you have to prove them wrong. And I think
there's no in between.
And for me, it's like, honestly, like, if you ask me why, I think, we'll probably come on to things like motivation in a bit, but obviously, I'm motivated by making customers happy. I'm motivated by, making money, making a great business, whatever. You know what really, really motivates me? You know what makes me so happy? The fact that they could never have believed that this would be real.
Really?
For sure. It makes me so happy. I love it. It's like vengeance,
Really? That drives you?
Oh yeah, big time. Like, it's like a revenge arc, It's like fuck you. You didn't believe me I could do this. Watch me. There's gonna be like a million times bigger than you could possibly believe. And I'm not gonna stop until we get there.
Really?
So, and this is actually another thing, right? What also annoys me is that the guy was like, you don't know how to, do business, or you don't know how to build a tech company, or you don't know how to build. And it's like, you've never seen me do it. Like,
how would you?
So how do you know? It's like, oh, you studied languages, so you should be a translator or languages teacher or whatever. And it's like, well, you don't know my abilities. Plus, also, I think this is just a general societal problem, right? It's like, in the UK particularly, it's like, oh, you studied biology, you should be a biologist. You studied XYZ, you should be this. You studied law, you should be a lawyer. It's like, that's like such an archaic way of thinking nowadays. I think nowadays, there's no reason why anyone can't do like genuinely anything.
It's true. It's true, especially with the tools available.
Like, like you're building like a media agency and podcasting, and you're doing a phenomenal job, by the way. You should all follow Amma. She's incredible. And if you look at, you studied chemistry undergrad, right? You studied chemistry. It's like, you can.
To be fair, like you, there were people, even close friends, that were like, you don't have a proper job, you don't do this. And it's like, I do what I love to do and I make money like doing it. Not to sound like conceit, but it's like,
you're right.
Why should I not? What do you mean this is not proper? But then I was thinking, why does it affect me so much what they said? I was doing this work with, the dynamic pricing thing.
Yes. And
then people were like, you know nothing about dynamic pricing. Who are you to do that? And why would anyone? And it's like, you can learn. Like, you can spend time, you can learn. There's AI, we're not this stuck. Like people, have one job and they think this is what you must do. You know how to do this. No, you can reinvent yourself.
Completely. And like, sorry.
You're the king of reinventing yourself. You've done it loads.
Yeah, no, it's just true, right? It's like, for example, my grandparents will also say, because my grandpa still is actually a dentist and has been for like 60 years. He'll be like, okay, every like few months, he'll be like, you didn't study computer science. I'm like, you can learn. And like, I've spent a lot of time since graduating over the past 3 years learning how to code and learning how to build, software companies and software products.
What are you building?
Yeah, so we're building Maverick Intelligence. Maverick Intelligence can tell you exactly who's on your website. Plus, we can give you their names, emails, LinkedIn's, phone numbers. It's pretty cool. Plus, we can tell you who's clicking on your ads across Google, LinkedIn, Meta, YouTube, Reddit, even, and email newsletters, even if they don't convert. So we like to say, in a single sentence, Maverick Intelligence turns your anonymous website visitors into customers in a single click.
Couple things that come to mind. How is the data concerns around doing something like this?
It's a great question, and it's one of the reasons why we're a company registered in the US. Our investors are in the US, and over 80% of our customers in the US too. It's because in the UK and EU we have GDPR, which means yes, we can tell you the companies who are viewing your website, but we can't tell you the people. However, the US are a lot more relaxed about that type of data.
So your focus is America because of that, and yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think, a few reasons why America. First is that the market's significantly bigger. Second is that the laws around it are a lot more efficient for us, let's say. And I think third is that, in my experience at least, money in America just moves a lot faster and generally in bigger amounts too. So, for example, like we started this company and we tried to get like small amounts of money, let's say, out of European companies, and they were like, oh, can you do it for less, or can you 10p? Can you do it for 7p? In America, it's like, cool. Send the invoice, send the Stripe link.
People sending money in the UK, everyone's a bit like tight.
Very.
I think there's also a limited mindset a little bit there.
Yeah, it's like there's so much skepticism, I think. Whereas in the US, people are like, let's give it a go. Why not? I'll run it for a month. Let's see. And then they like it, and then they run it for a year.
And how did you actually like learn to sell? What are the tools you're using? What techniques do you have? Anyone who's got a startup and they want to sell?
Yeah, it's a good question. Actually, it's one of my like hot takes is when people post on LinkedIn being like, I just had this Claude agent, 47-step agent that sells. And I'm like, does it pick up the phone? Does it send a LinkedIn message? Does it email? If it doesn't do one of those three things, it doesn't sell. It maybe does like the preparation work before selling, doesn't sell. So that's like a big, obviously, I use AI, but
AI.
I use AI obviously for like, bits and, I get for example, like lead list from AI, and I will like,
what tools?
Apollo's not bad. Actually, shout out to my friends Orange Slice. They're like Clay, we have Clay. So they're like Apollo, but it's so much better. You can just prompt it and say, find me a list of XYZ people. So good.
Is it called Clay?
So it's called, the one we use is called Orange Slice. It's actually better than Clay. Clay is like, Clay is big market wise. They have raised like a 3 billion valuation. Orange Slice is a bit smaller. They raised 5 million. They did YC like last year. But like we're like somewhat friends with them, and we're actually building an integration inside of their platform as well right now, which is great.
Wow.
We don't do that much cold email, but I use Instantly for cold email. For like email for LinkedIn inbox, I use something called Condo, which is, have you heard of Condo? Or Condo is like, Superhuman.
Yeah.
So Condo is like Superhuman for LinkedIn mail. It's pretty good to the point that I send like probably like 100 LinkedIn DMs a day. Yeah, one of my biggest pet hates is when people are like, oh yeah, we just opened the website and we got 1 million in revenue. And it's like, that's complete bullshit. Most of the time, right? The reality is, people don't like to admit it, but you've got to hustle. So, for example, to get our first clients, I was like, I sent a lot of LinkedIn DMs, and everyone's like, oh, how do you optimize it? And I'm like, I just go for volume. I just send like And probably like I'll be like, okay, this is the message that I'm gonna write for the week, and I just blast it, and I'm like, um, as much as I can, uh, and then I keep going, and then I follow up like a week later, and then I follow up a week later, and we just keep going. So LinkedIn DMs has been huge for me. I don't do much cold emails because I know a lot of like cold emails. People just get like bombarded by cold email nowadays. Uh, Cold calling I do like actually. I think it's great. I think if there's someone that you want to reach, you can be like, "Hey, I'm Maverick. I know that you manage paid media at this company through my research, and that's exactly I wanted to speak to you. Okay, tell me more." Um,
Do you have any cold calling tactics? But I do like what you said about just doing it. I think we can focus on optimizing when it's like, if you're not even started, just don't even bother about optimizing.
I don't, and this is something I learned at Model ML with Chaz actually. Chaz told me, so he ran 2 consumer companies before this, and he was like, A/B testing before you get to like 10,000 users is complete nonsense and a complete waste of time. 10,000 users, 10,000 customers, whatever it is. And
Really?
because you just don't have the data set or the sample size, right? It's like, I don't know, let's say for example, you're sending, I don't know, 100 DMs and you get like 10 responses versus on like, I don't know, sequence A versus sequence B, you send 100 DMs and you get like 14 responses. There's not enough differentiation there, really.
Brilliant. Okay, that's really, really useful. And you're not technical, so how have you gone about upskilling when it comes to your AI company?
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny you ask because it's a question I get a lot. And one of the things when people are like, "You're non-technical," it's like no one was technical before 2020. Like even technical people have had to get used to how Claude Code operates or how Cursor operates, um, or how whatever AI tools operate. Like these are completely new tools. And so the reality is we've basically gone from like a blank slate in the past 6 months. And also like these tools are advancing at such rapid rate that like if you, for example, leave the tools for 6 months and you come back, they're going to be like so much better. So, for example, how have I gone about upskilling? Well, I think the first thing is just to actually like get into the tools and really be like just get it to do all of the things that you do. So, for example, like I don't know, yesterday I was like, hey, like I need to make a slide deck and a memo. Here's all the data. Or actually, I would need to make. In fact, this is a great one. I need to make case studies. Make me a case study here. The bullet points. Bang, bang, bang. Did it in about 5 minutes. And it would have taken me hours. On the coding side, I will be very honest. We do just split our duties to the point that Nick just does manage a lot of the code. But I would say in terms of like how, to answer the question, like how do you upskill? I think first is like sit next to someone who's technical if you can. So me, I'm quite lucky, and obviously I'm trying as much as I can to learn it, and I need to, I want to see it. And so sitting next to Nick, who knows it inside out, who like works at Amazon and like dropped out of masters in AI, is the perfect person to sit next to because he'll be like, okay, here's how you, um, you know, install this. Here's what like bash means or whatever, like all these different types of things that I otherwise like, either wouldn't have known or I'd have had to like, put into chat and then chat might tell me. And it, you know, you also like YouTube tutorials. I always do YouTube tutorials.
What is your honest take on AI agents? There's so much hype around that.
Yeah, it's I think they're fantastic. I think they're awesome. I think, I've seen it, for example, with Maverick Intelligence, where, running multiple AI agents all the time to gather the data that we get on people. So one great statistic about our company right now is that we actually identify more people than there are minutes in the day. We identify a
Whoa.
person on our website or across our total pool of customers' websites every single 30 seconds. So you can imagine that is like, I think we're in like we're identifying something like 4 or 5 thousand people a day, across our whole customer base, which is like really cool to see. And so we do that by running, multiple AI agents simultaneously. So for example, we are identifying who's on the site. We do that by deploying code on the back end of the customer's website. We then run AI agents to query these B2B identity graphs through exclusive partnerships with companies like Demandbase, 555. And then once we do that, we can then enrich that data further through our like person level agent. using person level enrichment tools via Aptify. And then we use, there's a bunch of secret sauce in there as well that I can't necessarily reveal. But fundamentally, like these AI agents go and they, they identify who's on the site, they identify what that person's company is, they identify what that person's who that person is at the company, then gather a bunch more data on them. For example, like what pages they visited on the site, whether they'd be like a good potential buyer or not, which we call like the hot leads feature. And only then do we then send it to you. And this is all taking place like, pretty much autonomously.
Nice. I love that. So you really do believe like they're working whilst you sleep?
Oh, they are, because we wake up and we see, one of the first things I check is like who's viewed our website. Who's viewed our website and how have our customers performed overnight. I want to make sure that, for example, and also because I don't, like right now I'm in the UK, but I do try and spend as much time as possible in the US, which is where our customers are and our investor in the UK and the US as well. But right now, for example, I'm in the UK. If I go to bed at midnight, that's like what 4 p.m. in SF, and then I want to wake up and I want to see what's happened in the afternoon in SF for our customers.
You have such an insatiable get things done attitude. That is there anything that people can do to get things done more like you?
To get things done more, I think ask for what you want. I think I make it such a thing for me to like, I always ask people. I often don't get it as well. I often don't get it. But ask for what you want even when you're not ready to. So for example, like I think I might mention this before, but like I got our investment because I saw a tweet from a guy called Gus who like seemed like he is super smart. He like has a PhD from Harvard and a postdoc from Stanford, or what, as a partner at this firm called Boost, which like I'd seen is like, I'd seen that pretty cool. And I emailed him, even though we literally had zero company. And I'm like, hey, I'm Maverick. This is Nick. We want to build it. We're raising. You aren't raising. We don't have a company. But I was like, okay, well, if we can get the meeting, then we can raise. Then we can like work out how we do this and whatever. So like, and we had a few we got like quite a few meetings like that. And we basically like very transparently, like we didn't have a company. We were hacking on a bunch of things. We had a few users, but like because we had these meetings, they pushed us towards it. So to answer your question, like how do you get things done? It's like give yourself like basically just get in front of people and then get them to expect something from you. So for example, like I do this quite a lot. And I think you have to do this as a startup founder, right? It's like, I tried to do this now that we actually have like a fully functioning company. But like, for example, to get our first and earliest users, I would DM people being like, hey, we actually have this thing. Like, can we set it up for you? And it wasn't built. But because the meeting is scheduled for like 5 or 7 or 9 days, it's like, well, if you give me 5 days, we can put something in front of you in that time.
To wrap up, what does the future look like for you and Maverick Intelligence?
Yeah, so what do we want? I just want to build an incredibly successful company. I want to, beyond like building a successful company, I want to actually help our customers build successful companies too. So to give you an example, we make sure we mandate when we sell to our customers that we have at least a weekly call, if not a daily call, with our customers.
Daily, nice.
Sometimes it depends how many we've got and how many they want. But at least a weekly call where we say, how has the software been for you? How have you found it? How many leads have you brought in through this? And just this week I've had 3 customers say to me, yeah, that we actually were able to get leads that we otherwise wouldn't have found through Maverick Intelligence. We've got meetings with them and they're now in our pipeline. And so that's a good dollar amount value from them. And so when they say that to me, it's like everything else goes out the window. I'm like, okay, wow, like that makes me so happy.
Yeah, brilliant. And one piece of advice for someone who is watching this and they're sitting on an idea and they still not started.
Why haven't you started? No, serious. Like what else are you doing? Like you thinking about what other people think? Fuck up, do it. If you haven't started, like, I think a lot of people think, what if this? What if that? Or I'm not ready yet. It's like, no one's ready. Like, do you think Zuckerberg was like ready to run a company when he was 19 and he dropped out of Harvard? No, like he'd never built a company before, but he built great software and he realized that by like moving forward, he would figure it out.
Yeah.
And okay, actually, no. Let me give you some even better advice. Find the biggest, baddest, most successful, coolest person in your city, or even not in your city. And they could be someone that you admire. It could be, I don't know, a sports person. It could be a founder. It could be an investor. It could be anyone that like you've seen online and you're like, wow, that person's super cool. And do everything that you can to work for them. For me, like working with Chaz, I say this like all the time. And it sounds like really cringe. I think I actually said to him the first day I joined. I was like, I'd have worked for you even if you didn't pay me. Find someone who you would literally like just die to be in their presence, and then get in their presence, and then you were gonna learn so much. And this is actually why I'm like, maybe one of the things I like to speak about is how if you ask a hot take, I think graduate schemes aren't the best training for young people. And I think the reason why I think that is because it's very cohort based. And again, it's this whole like UK Britishism, like tall poppy syndrome, like everyone in a similar way to how like in the UK, everyone graduates after 3 or 4 years. In the US, it's like some people graduate after 2 years. A lot of people drop out. No one in the UK really drops out. It's not a thing.
And this, yeah, even as you said, the tall poppy syndrome, like in corporate, there's only a few positions, isn't there, to get. So you are competing. Whereas in entrepreneurship,
Exactly. And like in graduate schemes, it's like, well, after 2 years, then you get a promotion from analyst to senior analyst. And then after you've done the graduate scheme, then you go somewhere else. And it's very like, it can make you feel like you're progressing, but actually you're probably, in fact, not probably, I'm going to go and say that you're almost certainly stagnating because you're somewhat constrained by the people and the beliefs around you. And for me, ultimately, like what's changed my life is being around people who just live limitlessly.
Hey, love that. And with that, we'll end it there. Thank you so much, Maverick. Great to catch up.
Likewise, Wolf. Look, thanks so much for having me. It's been real. It's been so much fun. You're a legend.